guys can see that right now I am where, guys? I am on my desktop inside a folder called El Captain. Yes, today we showed you guys JS Fiddle, but when you guys are building your own applications, you're going to run this command right here. npx create -react -app, and then the name of the app. What app were we building today, guys? Cat app. We run this command. This is basically a tool which will generate all of the necessary files in order to build our project. Oh, fuck. This gotta be lowercase, okay? Gotta be lowercase. Cat app. npx create react app, and then the last argument right here is the name of the folder that it's going to create. So what folder did it create? Cat app, right? Okay. So this is right now. A second ago we were asking, someone asked about downloads. Right now, what my machine did is it just went out to the internet and it downloaded React. So we just bumped that number up one number, right? We just downloaded React, okay? So now we're going to move into our cat app project, okay? Now if I open up my code editor, what are we gonna see, guys? There's a bunch of folders and files that work together. All these folders and files have a responsibility, okay? They all do something. And you guys can look at this to determine how you're going to structure your applications in the future, okay? So after I'm done opening my code editor and installing everything, I can run npm start. npm is Node Package Manager, okay? So whenever I run it now, I'm going to see the default boilerplate code. So this is all we get for free, right here, okay? And the most important file, something to think about in React is that every single one of your React components should have one component that is the parent of every other component. And that special component is called the app component. I'm going to prove to you that this is the one by changing everything in here. I'm going to say cat app. I save it. I jump back over here. I can see that we have cat app, right? So go ahead and put our code editor next to our package, right over here. Put this down here. Okay, so we see that our cat app is directly next to our code editor, right? So what is the goal here, right? What do we want to build? We want to build a bunch of cards for a bunch of cats, right? So let's start small. Okay, let's start small. Let's just go ahead and build one for one cat. Okay, so I'm gonna call this one Grumpy. Okay, here's a grumpy cat. And we're gonna say that its special ability is to Grumpy is really good at being unhappy. If I save it, what do we see? We see Grumpy. We got a grumpy cat and it's really good at being unhappy, right? So we can now do what? We can also add an image, right? And I can put my source in here, right? Here's my image. And then I'm gonna get a grumpy cat. Okay, I'm gonna grab the URL off the internet just because I'm being lazy right now. Okay, let's say this one. Here's our grumpy cat. We're gonna get the address URL. Copy image address. We're gonna paste it where? Inside the source. We save it. We go back to our app. We see we have a grumpy cat. Right? Super fucking easy. We got how many lines of code was this? What's 13 minus 8? 5? Right? Super easy. So now, what if I wanted to have 3 cats? Let's just start small. What if I wanted 2 cats? What could I do? Let's do that. Right there. I just push down one time. I copy everything. And then what do I do now? I gotta change it. I gotta say black cat. Okay. Now say my black cat right here. And then we'll just find an image. Okay. We'll say that I'm gonna go with this one right here. Here's our black cat. Copy the image URL. Paste it in here where you see source. Okay. And what's a black cat good at? Black cat is good at making people unlucky. Okay? So I save it and I jump back over here. And what do we see? We see 2 cats, right? And a little description of each cat. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now, guys, if you're repeating code like this, you're probably doing something wrong. Okay? You did it wrong. Okay? Because imagine now I wanted a 3rd cat. Can I do the same thing? Garfield cat. and do Garfield, Tubby, cat, 400 by 400. Who here ever watched Garfield? Okay, so what happens to Garfield? What's something he does? I don't know. I've never watched Garfield. Is it? I don't know. I really don't know. Let's just say he eats all the time. Fuck it. That sounds a good one. Okay. So we paste in, and then we say Garfield cat is good at eating. We save, and now we see that we have 3 cats. Okay. So now you guys can see that this code is repeated. When you guys are writing code, if you're repeating the same code again and again, this is a legitimate time to do what? Map, but specifically to define a function. This function needs to execute that same code over and over again. Okay? And what's special about functions? They will behave differently depending on the arguments. Right? Let's think about this. Let's look at Quokka. Oops. Quokka. Okay? JavaScript. Okay? If I have a function that says say hello, it takes a name, right? Console.log hello name, right? If I call say hello with, for example, qua, won't the function do something different than if I did it with loy, right? Doesn't this function behave differently? Okay, so the same thing is true of our components, okay? Right here, we have one function, right? We have one function, it's 3 lines long, right? The function on the first time we called it, what did it console log? Why did it console log hello loy? Because the argument was loy. On line 6, we called the exact same function. This time on line 6, why does it console log hello qua? Because of the argument. Okay, so this is going to be true of our components. This is going to be exactly the same thing as our components. So now we're just going to define one in the same file. Okay, we're going to say function cat. And there's many different ways to define a function, okay? And many different ways to define a component. That's just how life is. What does every single React component have to have? Huh? Say again? Nope. It has to render, but actually, this is the special case that it does not have to have a render, okay? Because this is, do you see the keyword function right here? Because we do not see something that says class, this is called a functional component. You guys will learn what a functional component, how that's different than a class component, but just know that this functional component, we do not need to have a render function, but we do have to return valid JSX, okay? What is valid JSX, guys? What's valid JSX? Isn't all this JSX right here? Right? So I can stick in an H1 and we'll just say a single cat. Okay? We save it. And do we see a single cat anywhere? Why do we not see a single cat? Because we did not stick it inside of our render of our app. Right? Exactly. So we can now see that a function does not, a component does not necessarily have to take a prop. So if we save this, we scroll up, we're going to see a single cat. So what was the objective that we initially started off with, guys? We don't want to write the same code over and over and over again, okay? We want to write a component one time, okay? So I'm going to change this to H2 real quick, okay? We'll save this one. And then the objective here is just to do cat like this, so that this code right here only needs to be done one time, okay? But one second, I actually did that a little bit too quickly. So now I'm just going to copy over all of this right here. And another thing I forgot to mention, guys, is that our returns for each of these, they have to return exactly one element, okay? This element can have many children, but it cannot return multiple siblings. Okay, so right now on line 7, how many things are we returning? We're returning one H2 element, right? Now what am I trying to return? I'm trying to return 2 H2 elements. This will throw an error. If I save it, it throws an error. It says, hey man, they must be wrapped in an enclosing tag. So what is a solution here? We can just wrap it in a div. Save it. There we go. Okay? All right, so remember the original objective was to what? To repeat some code so that we didn't have to do it again. Okay? So we're gonna copy this code. I'm simply gonna paste it right here. Okay? So if I run this now, what are you guys gonna see? We're gonna see the same cat over and over and over again. Okay? 1, 2, 3. I forgot, I left this one right here, okay? So now the question becomes, how can I get cat on line 22, 23, and 24 to behave differently? Someone help me out, guys. I literally just said this like, I don't know, 2 minutes ago. Yes. Well, inside of React, what are our arguments called? Yes, they're called props, okay? So here is, we can call this whatever we want, okay? We can call this property whatever we want. I could call this fork. I can stick in here, what? Grumpy cat, if I wanted, right? I call this fork. So now, because I passed in a property called fork, on line 9, how can I change this to make it work correctly? Fork. Save it. What's the first cat going to be called? Looks like I did something wrong. Oh, because, okay, so another thing about functional components is that they do not have this. There's no such thing as this, okay? But I know there's a lot to take in, guys, okay? You guys ask questions if you get confused. There's a lot going on here. I promise you there's a lot. And you, like, okay? So right now, in a functional component, there is no such thing as this. But we do have this thing called props. And we need to capture props off of the argument here. Okay? So we save that, and now we've captured the props argument. And what is this, guys? What is props? What data type? What does this dot tell you? It's an object. And it's an object with a what key? Okay, so I save it, I run it, bam. We're gonna see that our grumpy cat does in fact render its name correctly, right? And these ones don't have a name. Why? Why do they not have a name here? Why do they not have a name here, guys?
Because line 23 and 24 is the name.
Because of what's blank? Fork equals grumpy. I did not pass the correct prop. This component needs this prop to work correctly. We need to look at the signature of the component, okay? I want you guys to imagine, you guys see how I did this right here? These two curly braces? This is what's going to happen to every single time, okay? If you guys put strings here. But if it is a string, you can drop it, okay? This works the same way. I'm gonna prove it to you, watch. I expect to see 2 cats named Grumpy. Okay? I'm gonna save it. Hop over here. We see a Grumpy up top. We see a Grumpy at the bottom. Exact same thing. Okay? So let's go ahead and fix our problem. Is fork a good name for this property? No, it needs to be what is inside of it. Okay, this is a name. Okay? So now we've successfully passed a name property. Okay? So we have 1 Grumpy, 1 Black, 1 Garfield. Okay? We save it. We see I have a Grumpy cat, a Black cat, and a Garfield cat. Okay? So now we're gonna copy this image. I fucked this one up. I deleted it. Copy the URL. We're gonna pass in a new property, guys. Image URL. And the reason why we're passing in this property is because we want each cat's image to be different, right? Right? That's why we need to pass it in. So we can just do pops dot image URL, okay? And we're gonna have to throw in some image URLs over on these ones as well, okay? We're gonna have to replace these. So we got our Garfield cat. We need a Black cat. Copy image URL. Copy image address. So the second one is the Black cat, okay? And one more, the Grumpy cat. Grumpy cat. Sorry, I shouldn't have closed this. Grumpy cat. Okay, we're gonna get this one real quick, sorry. Copy image address. Okay, we're gonna save it, and we're gonna see that we have 3 different cats. We had a grumpy cat, we've got a black cat, and we've got a Garfield cat. Oops, we need to change this though. We need to change one thing here, guys. What else do we need here? We need to pass an additional property for what, guys? It's special ability, right? Aren't all cats a little bit different? Not only do they have different names, they also have different abilities, right? Okay, so hold on, let me clean up my code as we go, okay? We're just washing our dishes as we're cooking dinner, okay? Cleaning up our code a little bit. We're gonna delete this one down here, and I believe everything should be okay. And it seems like we haven't broken anything. So now we need to add one more attribute. We're gonna say special ability. And we're gonna say the special ability of the grumpy cat is being unimpressed, okay? And what's our special ability of our black cat? Causing people to be unlucky, okay? And what's the special ability of our Garfield cat? Eating and napping, okay? So now we've successfully passed 3 properties to each one of these cats, okay? We need to do one more line. We need to change one more line to get this to work correctly. Which line? Nice. Okay, how do I should change this? Props.name, props.special ability. So now I expect that each one of these cats will have their own unique description, okay? Right now they all say unlucky. Unlucky here, unlucky here, unlucky here. I save it, and then the hot reload. Grumpy cat is good at being good at being unimpressed. Black cat is causing people to be unlucky, and Garfield cat is eating and napping, okay? So that's not amazingly complicated yet. Not amazingly complicated, right? So now imagine that we had an additional property called adopted. Okay? It's going to be true. Black cat is not adopted because no one likes a black cat. Okay? And then this one is true. Okay? So now, how can we make this better? What if we could add a border? Oh no, what was the instructions again? What were we supposed to change? The name to a different color? Right?
Yeah.
So what we could do here is just do style is equal to what? Inside of style, we always pass an object, okay? This object is gonna have what? What do all objects have? Keys and values. And what's the key that we want to change? Color, okay? And what's the value that we want to change the color based off of? True or false of what? Adopted, okay? So now we can say pops.adopted. If pops.adopted is true, what are we gonna do? We're gonna make it green. Otherwise, we're gonna make it red, okay? So now we can save it, and I suspect that the black cat will have a red name. There we go. Because the black cat is what? It is not adopted, right? Thus, it has a red name. Whereas the grumpy cat and the Garfield cat both are in fact adopted, thus they have a different color. So this is the technique I showed you. Do you guys remember when we applied this technique using the Twitter? Remember? Which one did we do it on, guys? Which part? Exactly. We did this on the adding the span to the hashtag or the at. We did this a couple times, okay? It's the same concepts. Okay, what else am I missing, guys? Okay, so we're gonna do adding to a cat, okay? So now, I'm not gonna have to introduce state.
Yeah, it's state.
All right. Fuck. Okay, I'm trying to think about whether or not I should do this right now. We're gonna be working on this lab tomorrow, and we're gonna be working on state tomorrow. Should we do this now? Who wants to learn about state right now? Who wants to learn about state right now? Got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, guys, we're gonna learn about state now. But the thing is, I'm actually going to remove the cat from this. I'm going to remove the cat from this entirely because I want us to have a simpler explanation, a simpler version. Okay. So now I'm going to say that. My bad. Hold on. We're gonna return a div, and now we need to split down.
Could you explain what state is?
I'm about to explain right now. Okay, guys, you guys see that on line 15, we have a function, our most parent function, okay? This is our most parent component, it's the app component, okay? So, you guys are gonna see many different ways of defining state because React has been around for almost 7 years now. I wanna say, hold on, when did React come out? When did React come out, okay? Came out 2013. It's been out 6 years, okay? React has changed. So let's just put it this way. Oops. Okay, so guys, come on, let's pay attention right now. This is really important. You guys will not know how to use React without knowing how to use state. I guarantee it. Yes.
Again, you continue. Before you continue, can I ask, what's the difference between we have in the exercise we have class, extend, React component, and now we have the function?
So that's a class component and a functional component. A class component has understanding of state and this. A functional component does not. So don't worry, like you guys, that's why me and the TAs are here because you guys are not expected to get this for a while. You guys gotta fuck this up for a while before you understand the difference, okay? So we're just going to watch you guys code and we're gonna tell you, okay? We're gonna tell you like, oh, this time you guys need it this way, you guys need it that way. So right now, okay, so class, base, component. I'm just gonna do this way actually, now think about it. We do React create component, okay? React create component. Now it just automatically types in everything for us, okay? So now you guys can see, what did I say that every single stateful React component has to have? A render function that returns valid JSX, okay? So now I'm going to add a class name here. We're gonna say that this is called box, okay? Why is this? Yeah, we're gonna call this box. We're gonna say our box is 100 pixels high. And then, God, I cannot type right now. Height is 100 pixels, okay? We're gonna save it. Okay, give it a background color of pink, just to prove that this works, okay? Pink. I'm gonna save it. We'll look back over at our box. Oh, my bad, do we have an error? Gotta restart my server maybe? Sometimes you guys may need to restart your servers, okay? If you guys do a lot of changes, okay, so I'm restarting my server. Sometimes the server freezes, okay? I'm restarting the server. I'm looking at my code. I'm looking at this app. I don't see anything. Weird. Hello? Why don't I see a black box? Oh, I didn't import the styles, okay? So what is it again? Fuck. Someone show me an example. What is it? Import styles. What am I supposed to do again? Is that it? Oh, there it is. Okay, there we go. We got a pink box, okay? So guys, so this is the syntax right here. This is the simplest that we can use state right here. It cannot get any simpler than this component right here. It has to have the exact, not the exact, there are actually shorter ways to write this right here on line 4, but just copy and paste it. Please trust me, just copy and paste it or run this command, RCC, okay? RCC, just run that one and let it do it for you, okay? Okay, so now, this is the setup, okay? We do state equals an object, okay? That's the very bare minimum. And inside of this object, we can name whatever state values that we want. What are some things that can be stateful? Is the user signed in? You know? Is the user cool? Just an infinite number of things. Right now, we're simply going to set one piece of state. we're gonna call it color, okay? We're gonna say that the default state is red, okay? So the very next thing I want you guys to do is in your render function, okay? The special thing about the render function is that it will constantly be running. It will run, not constantly, but it will render again whenever the state changes. We're gonna change state in just a second, but I'm gonna show you that when we do lines 5 through 7, we have something called state. So if I do red apple, and I look at this dot state, then I refresh, what is our state? No, our state is not red. Our state is what? It's an object, exactly. And what is the keys of this object? Okay, so what if I wanted to have another one? Oops. I can have as many keys as I want, okay? As many as I want. Age, 18, favorite color, favorite restaurant, I don't know, Chick-fil-A. Sorry for Vietnamese friends, you guys are missing out, okay? This is an object, it has 3 keys, okay? It's almost useless to have an object and state that you don't look at, right? So what's the useful thing that we're gonna do now, okay? We're just gonna do a little bit of black magic, okay? We're gonna say, hey, instead of just hard coding a box in here, I'm gonna say, this dot state dot color, okay? And what's gonna happen? I'm gonna save it. Why is this box red now?
Do you hard code the state color is red?
Exactly. But just notice what happened, okay? The state right here, this dot state dot color, its value is red, right? We use string concatenation, okay? We use string concatenation. You can basically look at it like this is what happened. Oops. That's the same thing, okay? But the reason why we're using variables in state is because what if we wanted to change the color, right? So let's do this. We'll do button, okay? Change to red, and we'll do one for change to blue, okay? Now I'm gonna go ahead and remove this red right here. I refresh. Now if I click this button, how can I get this box to turn red? Well, there's a secret magical function that React gives us called this.setState, okay? So now when I do onClick, and notice that in React, the onClick, the C is capitalized, okay? So now we're gonna pass this onClick attribute a new value. And this value is going to be a function which calls the this.setState function. So I know that seems super complicated, doesn't really make sense. I just did something wrong. Okay, this.setState, and inside of setState, this is a function, okay? This.setState, when we call this, we need to pass it an object. This object that we give to this.setState, it needs to have the keys and the value of the state that we want to change. So what is the one piece of state that we're gonna change? Color, okay? And what do we wanna change it to?
Red.
Yes, okay? So now if I save it, and I jump over and I click this button, it in fact turns red, okay? So what if I wanna do the same thing except for blue? Right there, that's simple, okay? So I save it, I save it, I refresh, I click red, I click blue, and then go back and forth. Obviously, this is a very simplified example. I promise you, it does not get simpler than this, okay? This is the simplest that you can get it. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. But it's pretty simple. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Any questions, guys? Okay, so high level overview, guys. Okay, high level overview. We're like at 20,000 feet right now. Okay, in order to introduce state to our applications, we need to have a class-based component. Okay, there are pros and cons of having a class-based component, just like girlfriends, right? Sure, I want a girlfriend that's 18, but on the other hand, a girlfriend that's 18 is a lot of problems, right? Right? Exactly. Okay, so the same thing with functions and components, right? Class-based components are powerful. They're very useful in certain ways, but in a lot of ways they cause other problems, okay? So right now, you can write every single one of your components as a class-based component. Right now, it does not matter. To you guys, it does not matter that if every single one of them are class-based components, because I want you guys to be able to call this.state or this.props or this.setState everywhere. It's okay, no problem, okay? Later on, when you guys start having 100 components, then we start thinking about which components do what more thoroughly. Okay, so once again, we can define our default state right here. State equals object. We can give it as many keys as we want, okay? And then we can simply use the state value, the state color, inside of our return. And that will dictate behavior. Okay, any questions, guys? Any questions? So let me do one more, okay? I'm gonna do one more just so you guys can think about how to do the cat app one, okay? So now we're gonna do an input, okay? Let's say we have an input. What are special things about inputs? They have values, and they also change. So the onChange is an attribute or a property that we're passing to input. So let's just go ahead and see what the onChange property does. I'll tell you what it does. It has to take a function, okay? Just like map has to take a function, onChange has to take a function, okay? So I do console.log, changing my input, okay? I save it. I jump over here. I guarantee you when I start typing, we're gonna start seeing a bunch of console logs. There we go. Okay. So that's not actually that useful yet. What do we want, guys? We want the value of the input. Okay. And we're gonna get that from the special thing called E. You remember E? Remember? So we're gonna say value, and then we do E.target.value. Save it. I refresh. I start typing. There we go. We start seeing everything that's inside of here. Does that make sense? That makes sense, everyone? Okay, so
Here's the thing, why do you have to, target value stands for, like, it's just,
it's saying, hey, this event that you're listening to, this onChange event, give me the event's target's value. What's the target here? It's the input, yeah. And what's the value of that input?
the thing that you're writing right now.
It's the string. That's whatever's inside it is the value, okay? Okay, so that's not useful. That is not useful at all. We need to capture this value inside of this thing called state. Thank you, Phil, for listening. So now we're gonna call this one name. Let's give this one name, for example. Okay? What are some of the things I told you guys about this? Was this magic right here? Is this line magic, guys? Line 13 is not magic, okay? All it is a property. We simply pass a property to input. What is the value of this property? It is a function, okay? We pass a function to the input. And what happens in this function? We simply set state with name. So what is the value if I did console.log right now, right? What would this be? If I did this right now, I saved it and I refresh, what would we see, guys? We see a state object. How many keys would it have?
One key.
It'd have one key, exactly. So let's prove it. We have one key, okay. Nice, okay. But what's gonna happen when we start typing? Exactly. Now, because we start typing now, line 14 executes. Because this is an object, guys. I don't know how else to simplify this. This is an object, okay? We pass this object to set state. It assigns whatever new key the value that we want. I can give it any key I want. Age is 18. Name is, or no, I already did name. I do hello is world. Foo is bar. Okay, save it, refresh it. Watch, I have one key. Okay, that function executes. How many keys do we have now? Age, color, foo, hello, name. Right now, you may not recognize how this can be useful, but later on, as we start building more complicated components and applications, this is going to be tremendously useful, amazingly useful. Okay, so So okay, so I promised you. You guys want to do the ad, okay? The ad, right? Okay, so we have one input for the name. What else do we have? What else do we need to know about our cats? Fuck, man, delete all that code. God damn it. It was name, image URL, special ability. Okay, so we can do this twice. We're gonna have one for we're gonna do this 3 times. We're gonna have one is name, one is color, the other one is special ability. Okay, I save it, I refresh. This looks like shit. Okay, you guys don't write code. You guys are allowed to do this. Only I am. Okay, sorry for making it that way. So the name is Bubbles. Okay. Fuck, I console. Damn it. This.state. Okay. So I'm gonna refresh. Our name is Bubbles. Our what's the second one? Color. Our color is black. Our special ability is, what does Bubbles do? But we already have a black one. Okay, let's just say, I don't know, naps. Naps like crazy good. Naps super crazy good. Okay, so let's look at our state, guys. Why has this been changing? Why has this been changing, guys? Because the state has changed, right? The user's telling us that the name is either black or it's red or it's whatever. The actual state of our application has changed, right? So that's why these values are different. So now the very next thing I'm going to show you is we need to have one more thing, guys. What have I shown you a bunch of times? That we got to know when our user's prepared to submit, right? So we'll add one more button. We'll say on click. And what are we going to pass this, guys? What does the on click always take? A function. Yes, thank you, Fung. Okay, and what are we going to do here? We're just going to say this dot create cat. Okay? This syntax just takes memory. I expect you guys all to mess this up, you know, with all due respect, you know. But because we say this dot create cat here, that means that above our render function, we can define a new function. And this is going to be, what kind of function is this, guys? This one is not actually, is it anonymous? This is an anonymous function actually. It's just attached to a key on our app component. Okay. So now, whenever we do this, we're just gonna console.log this state. Okay. This dot state. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna refresh it. I'm gonna fuck. So we got a grumpy cat. We got a pink cat, and what's the last one we did again? Farting cat. Okay? Now if I click this button, what do you guys expect to see? The exact same thing, this dot state. So we have access to this object, right? So what can we do with this object? Do const new cat equals name is this dot state dot name, and do color is this dot state dot color, and then we do special ability is this dot state dot special ability. Okay, very simple. Okay, so now it's the next thing we need to do, guys. That's not what we do. That's not what we do. Why? Because we need to mess with our state. We previously had 0 cats. Now we want to add a cat. We need to do.
Do we have the cats array yet?
We don't yet, but that's okay. We're gonna fix that in just a second. I'm gonna show you the error. How did we change state earlier, guys? Yes. Okay. So now we're just gonna do this dot set state, and what do we got past set state? A function. Yes, it's an object. It has to be an object. Okay? We're going to pass it an array, and this array is only going to have 1 cat. Okay? We're just going to put in a new cat. Okay? Very simple. Now we're just going to, I'm at the very bottom, I'm going to go ahead and just draw it. Okay? Do a cat. I'm going to give it a name property. Okay, we're gonna give it a color property. We give it a special ability property. Okay, very simple. And what's gonna go inside of here?
This is it.
What do we need? What do we need? We need to look at our cats, right? So we can do cats 0 dot name, right? Obviously, this is not the best way, but I'm gonna just prove that this is how we're gonna add cats. Okay, 0 dot special ability. Okay, we're gonna save this and we're gonna get a complaint. Cats is not defined. Okay, so why is it saying that cats is not the cat is not defined? Because we do not have a component called cat. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and define it above here. I'm covering a lot, guys. I'm so sorry. Okay, we're gonna create component. I'm just gonna copy this line over here, right above it. Give it a body. Oops. We're gonna call this one cat. Cat. We're gonna render. We're gonna return. We're gonna give it a div. Okay, cat. Save. And now what's the error we have now? Okay, we cannot export default twice in one component. It's not useful for you guys right now, okay? I know I'm covering a lot of shit, but don't worry, we got 3 weeks to learn this, okay? Save it, refresh. So now what's the complaint we get now, guys? Cats is not defined. What it's saying is that you need to give us a default value for cats. I'm gonna say cats is equal to an empty array. We save it, refresh it. What? Oh, this dot state. This dot state dot cats. Okay, my bad. Oops. This dot state dot cats. This dot state dot cats. Okay. Refresh it. God damn it. Fuck. I'm just doing it so bad. Okay. So now we got to make sure. Well, what can we do here to make sure that this does not throw an error? What it's saying is that look, there is no cat in the 0 index of our cats array. Okay. There is no cat there, so I cannot run dot name. So remember how I told you to safeguard it the other day? Remember this one, guys? Oops. New. Kwoku. If something can be nil, we can just do true and console.log test. Okay? This has to be true. The left has to evaluate to true for the on the right to evaluate. If I do this to change this to false, console log will never ever execute. Okay? So how is that applicable in what we're doing right now? This is a technique you guys are going to see a lot. Okay? So how is that applicable? I'm just going to check to make sure I have at least one cat. Say, hey, do I have one cat? If so, give me that cat's name. Hey, do I have one cat? If so, give me that cat's color. Hey, do I have a first cat? Okay, give me that cat's, well, I just messed up somewhere. This dot state. Why am I seeing a syntax error here? Why is this complaining? Get a problem, guys. Someone help me out. Someone help me out. Is this working? Oh, my bad. I don't know why my syntax. Subsidy? You guys see this? This is confusing the fuck out of me. I thought I did something wrong. But in fact, my code was good. I'm better than I thought I was. Okay, so sometimes your code editors trip out. That's a fact, okay? So right now, you guys have noticed that we have 0 cats, right? Right? Hold on. Do we have a cat? I don't think about this. We render it. Okay, hold on. I know there's a lot going on, guys. I know, I get it. Okay, so I'm just gonna show you that we can add a cat. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, H1. And we say this dot props dot name. Okay, refresh. Okay. All right. So now the next thing we need to do is just make sure that we can get a cat up here. Okay. So now we're just simply going to add a cat's name. We're gonna say grumpy cat. We're gonna say it's pink, and then we're gonna say that its special ability is eating and sleeping. Okay. So now I expect if I click this button, we're gonna see a cat below, and we successfully added a cat. Okay. Obviously, we can do this a million times, right? All right. So do you have any questions, guys? There's a lot going on there, guys. I want you guys to focus on props, and then like we're gonna do.